Hello.
coming in today.
Thanks for having me in.
Can you tell me a little bit about what brings you in?
I am having major issues with my ex, and as it pertains to our children. We have 2 kids, and we have a son who is 17, and we have a daughter who's 14. We divorced about 10 years ago. It was not a happy divorce. I'll circle back. I have 2 children, and of course my most huge concern is that their well-being, and I'm having such a horrible time getting along with him, and I feel like I need to try for their well-being. So that's what I'm just really, really struggling with.
Sounds difficult. Can you tell me what is it that you're struggling with him?
Excuse me. I don't like him. I divorced him for a reason. He's a bit of a narcissist. Everything is about him. Everything's about how things affect him. And I feel like I don't want my children to be around that a lot. I don't feel like he has their best interests. I feel like he wants the kids there because it's all about him and how he can be the perfect dad, and everything's about what things look like rather than what they actually are.
I understand. So the kids, how are they doing with the divorce? You said it's been about 10 years.
Yes. So my daughter, not so much, because she was 4 when he left, so she doesn't remember much, and she's a bit of a daddy's girl because she doesn't really remember that much, and so she's kind of got new dad rather than old dad. But my son has a lot of anger and a lot of not very friendly feelings towards him because he does remember, and I think he's angry that dad left. And that comes out in all kinds of different ways.
Does he show anger towards you?
Not physically, no, but yelling, and he's a bit problematic at times.
Okay. And he's close to his dad?
He would like to be close to his dad. He actually approached me last week, and he asked if he could move with his dad.
Oh, wow.
And finish out his last year of high school at his dad's, and I am not on board with that at all.
Okay, and you have expressed this why you're not on board?
I have expressed it to my ex. I believe that it's not a good environment for my son. My ex is very independent and does whatever he wants to do it, and I don't think he realizes how much of a responsibility it is to have a teenage boy in his house. And he's looking at it like, oh, it'll be fine, no big deal. And I feel like my son will just be set free.
I understand. And do you know why all of a sudden he's asking to stay with his dad? Has anything happened in the past couple of weeks?
I think that he wants to be close to his dad, and that makes my heart hurt because I feel like he's looking for something that may not be there, and then as his mom I want to protect him from that.
So your ex-husband, excuse me, is trying to be the perfect dad. So he does show some attributes of good father to your kids, or?
Yeah, he's fun. Don't get me wrong. He's super fun for the kids, but that's because he's part-time dad. And so, when they go to his house, they go to Disneyland, and they go to water parks, and they go to the beach, and they go out to dinner, and everything is fun. And I'm mom, and I'm day to day. So are things fun at my house? No, probably not. They're not fun. And I have rules, and I have, homework needs to be done, and need to take a bath, they need to brush your teeth, and that's not Dad's house. Dad's house is all fun all the time, and that's all they've experienced.
That's fun.
Yeah, so, you know, he's thinking, I think my son is thinking, oh, well, this will continue when I go there.
Right.
And I think I'm terrified that's exactly what will happen.
Right. And so your biggest fear is your son losing focus in school, you know, and becoming more like your ex-husband?
Yes, and I'm almost afraid that he'll probably drop out, because if no one's forcing him, he's not the best student, so if no one's forcing him to do homework and go to school and, you know, set some expectations, I'm fearful that he's going to drop out and be a loser and, you know, I don't know, smoke pot all day, and I don't know, like, I have these fears around it.
And is he showing some of those behaviors now, your son?
I know that he smoked pot before. I don't think it's a big, you know, I don't think he's a day-to-day smoker. I think it's more of a party thing. But I know that he can easily fall off. Like, if somebody's not behind him, nudging him along, then he is not that motivated. And my husband is not that motivated to nudge him.
Right.
So I don't think it's in his best interest. But then again, I don't know how to tell him that. I don't want him to have a bad view of his father. And I don't want to be the bad guy. I'm tired. I'm tired of being the bad guy.
So you mentioned, because I asked you earlier if you talked to your son about why he should not live with the father, and you said that you talked to your ex-husband about it.
Mm-hmm.
So you don't want to tell him why it's a bad idea. You want him to have a good image of their dad always.
I do, and I do think that, I mean, I like your suggestion about speaking to him about it, but I don't even know how to approach it. I fear that you know, like I said, I feel like I don't want to be the bad guy all the time.
I understand. Yeah, sounds very difficult to deal with, especially two teenagers at the same time.
Yes.
That could be very overwhelming. And now you're hurt. I hear it in your voice that he wants to leave you and to a, you know, a not good situation, and that's terrible. So what is your biggest fear of letting your son live with your ex-husband?
I think my fear is that he will become an unproductive human being, and that perhaps will become more like his father. And I don't want him to be that guy. And I don't know how to resolve that, because that is the guy I married. So at one point I must have liked him, even though now I don't remember why. I must have liked him at some point, and I'm hoping to focus more on the positive things that my son has, the positive attributes he has, instead of me thinking all these fearful negative thoughts of what's going to happen. So I think that I need to change my thinking around it. I need to look at it maybe as an opportunity for my son. Or maybe he can go live with his dad and see the real picture of what's happening.
Have you ever talked to your ex-husband about taking in your son, about if he's ready to have that responsibility?
I've discussed it with him. I don't think he realizes. I think he thinks he's 17. He'll get up in the morning. He'll get himself to school. Like, he'll get him a car. He already said he's going to get him a car. He's like, I'm going to give him a car. He can get to and from school, and we'll be fine. And I'm thinking, you're putting this into such a little ball of nothingness, and it's much more than that. It's not going to be that easy. You know, you think that this is going to be like two dudes living together, and I want you to be a parent. I don't want you to be his friend. I don't know if he's capable of that.
It's been a long time since you've actually lived with your ex-husband. It's been 10 years.
That's true.
Yeah, so you have this idea in your head that he's not ready, and he's just, you know, the fun guy,
Mm-hmm.
you know. Do you think maybe sometimes that's all you give him since you're so scared of letting him do more?
Hmm. That's an interesting thought. I have not thought about that. That is a valid point. I mean, it has been 10 years since I've lived with him, so I don't know him as well as I think I do. Maybe I'm just judging it off his behavior with me, and I think I'm a little resentful because he gets to be the fun person and I'm always the bad guy. So I don't know. I haven't thought about that. I will think about that because I haven't been with him in 10 years.
Yeah, if you can have a conversation with him and see how he feels about it, and then eventually you can probably come to talk to your son about boundaries and things that he can do, you know, because right now it sounds like there's a lot of tension in the house. You know, your son's acting up. What about your daughter? How does she feel about him leaving the house and going to?
Well, I think she's a typical sibling. She's kind of excited that he would leave. She's, you know, she's a little over the fighting between the two of us, you know, because we do bicker back and forth because I am strict with him. So I think she's very much looking forward to not hearing that anymore. I think she might be a little sad that she can't go too. She hasn't asked to go though, so you know, maybe that's my other fears. Maybe she'll turn to me and maybe she'll leave me too.
So you feel that you might lose your kids?
Yeah, and I'm scared and sad. What if he is the better parent? I think maybe that's my fear. Maybe he's the better parent.
Maybe that's your biggest fear of losing your kids.
Yeah, I'm terrified. I don't know what to do with that. I feel like it's not helping them. It's probably not helping the situation. I would like to be very logical about it and say, you're 17. If you want to live with dad, go with dad. It's, you know, it's a year of high school. I mean, honestly, if he messes that up, it's kind of on him at this point. I said, but you know, at the same time, I don't think I want to lose him. You know, it's still my baby.
But you're not losing him per se. He's just going to live with his father and maybe make the home situation a little better.
Yeah. I know, I don't want to believe that though.
Yeah, it's very difficult to believe. It sounds very painful. Because you raised them, you know, 14 and 17, and, you know, he was always the fun parent, and, you know, did he take on any financial responsibility when you guys were living together?
No, and I think that's the other thing I'm a little resentful about is that I paid most of the bills and I was the one working most of the time, and I give him alimony and child support. And so if my son actually moves in with him, he will be losing that child support. So I don't know that he's that eager to lose that. But we don't want to share that with my son either because that's, you know, I don't want him to think this is a money issue. I mean, I don't want my kids to ever think that. So, you know, I'm also fearful that my husband might, or my ex might turn around and say, well, I don't want you to send him here because then I lose all my benefits from it. And that would be painful because I don't want to think that my kids are just these cash cows for him. You know, I would hope, I mean, I do think he loves them. Don't get me wrong. I think he does. I think he loves them very much. But I just don't know that he could see outside of himself to realize how much work goes into raising a child, which he still would need to be doing, technically, until he's 18.
Does he say that he's ready?
He says that he tells my son that he's ready. And then to me, he sort of goes back and forth. But I said on my last phone call to him, if you do not want him there, you need to tell him that. Cause I'm not doing it anymore. I don't need to be this person all the time. You do it. You take responsibility. You don't even have to do it in a cruel way. You can do it in I don't know, maybe you make up a lie. Maybe you say, I work too much to have you here and I need somebody to keep an eye on you. I don't know, but I'm not giving him those answers.
Right, it might increase the tension in the home too as well. You might think that you're being, how these kids are, they think you're a hater and things like that, and it might have him resent you more, and he might move out on his own and then won't have really much supervision, so you want to come at this the best way that you know how. So,
and the most positive way for him.
Right.
I don't want him to get hurt.
Of course.
I mean,
it's the main concern with the kids, right?
Exactly, yes. My only concern is the kids. I mean, that's it. Period. End of story.
So you have a lot to think about.
I do. I have a lot to think about and a lot to process with this. I want to do the best by everyone, and I don't know that that's possible.
So we can try to think about it, talk to your husband about more ideas maybe, and just process the information and see how, the outcome is.
I am open to that. I feel like that maybe there's more conversation that needs to be had. I feel maybe I shouldn't approach it with as much fear as I am. Maybe be a little more logical about it instead of so emotional about it. I feel like there's got to be some happy middle ground, and I just don't know what that is yet.
So we'll process the information, and I'll see you soon.
That sounds great. Thank you so much.
Thanks for coming in.